Sam, Scott Griffin here, Smashmouth Radio. How in the world are you?
Doing great. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, we appreciate it. So I don't even know when spring starts. I think it's coming up for you. Has it already started, or what's the deal?
Well, it officially starts next Monday on the 7th. We've started kind of some pre-spring stuff with, like what most people call mat drills. In the old school, we do those for a couple of weeks leading up to it. And this week we're doing meetings and walkthrough, and we'll hit the ground running on Monday.
Now, and that's what's amazing to me about high school football. It is so much like college now. It's crazy, is it not?
It really is. I mean, I think any program now that's going to really try to compete on a large level, I think it's important to structure your program in a way that your players are the best prepared. And, and I kind of cut my teeth at the college level early on in my career and was exposed to that early on. And, we have a set way that I really believe in, and it's been proven to work. And we treat it just like if I was the head coach at a college, we'd still run our program the same way. I think you have to do a lot of preparation before you get into practice in the spring, so you make the most out of the limited days that you have.
Do you get complaints without naming names? Just be honest. This is called Smashmouth Radio, obviously. I would think that's something some parents would buy into, but also something some parents might go, Lord, another meeting? Why you got to do it? It's not even football season. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that really we've got the program so set in stone here now, going into my 5th year, that most of our parents understand what we ask of the kids and in turn what we ask of the parents. Because sometimes these meetings are, at 6:30, 6:45 a.m. And so, it's not always convenient for the parents to get up here, but it's really just the younger parents of the freshmen and maybe sophomores that are new to the program for them to get used to the way that we do things. But luckily here, we have a great community that supports what we do and believes in what we do. And we really don't get a lot of negative blowback from the parents. And, we're very fortunate. I know some guys across the state are in much different circumstances than us, but I think we're really lucky in that regard.
No doubt. To have it, of course, that comes with credibility, right? For winning and, treating kids right. Beyond winning, because at a high school level, I really do think it's also how you connect with the kids and all that. I mean, winning obviously helps, but you can't just be Bill Belichick at the high school level, I don't think, and get away with it.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we're very clear on what our real mission is here, and part of that is winning, but the number one thing is we want guys that come out of our program to be great sons, great brothers, and down the road, great husbands and great fathers. And, if we can accomplish that, then we have a chance to, in turn, win some games. And, I don't think you can separate one from the other because, in my opinion, if you're not doing the things to teach them how to be great young men, then you're not going to win the games anyway. So that's the number one thing for us is always trying to teach them how to become good human beings. And we've been, very fortunate here, and we've had some great kids come through the program, and we've had some kids that have come through that probably were headed down the wrong path, and football changed their lives. And I think it allowed us to send people in the right direction that otherwise would be in very bad circumstances by now. And that's part of what's fun about what we do. All coaches are in it to try to make a difference in the kids' lives. And, we obviously enjoy the X's and O's, but just being around the kids, that's the most fun part.
Yeah. And by the way, I put on LinkedIn that you were going to be on the show, and Derek Oden went, "Go Pats," just so you know.
Oh yeah.
Well,
that'd be great to get him back around these guys a little bit. Yeah, he's a legend around here.
He was great. I covered him when I was at Channel 33 a long time ago. He was off the chain as far as talent down there. All right, so and make me familiar before we get into your team. In college they have the 20-hour rule and all that. There's no such rules in high school. Not that you're going to wear them out 6 hours every day, but is there any ruling that there's got to be that coordinates what you can do, how much, how often, all that kind of thing?
Well, for the spring, you get 3 calendar weeks to get in 10 practices. Now, at Hillcrest, we don't have the luxury of getting those 3 weeks because we share a lot of athletes with baseball and track, both of which are still going right now. Our track team headed down for the state meet there, and our baseball team's about to play in the quarterfinals. And because we share so many athletes, we push all of our practices into a 2-week span. So our spring practice is really, it's a grind. This is the only time all year round where we'll practice a full 2 hours for 2 weeks straight. And, we find out who likes football and who just, wants to be part of the team and hang around the guys during these 2 weeks. But, in the summer, we put a lot of hours in there as well. We do it extremely early in the morning. We go 3 days a week for about 3 to 3.5 hours total each time in. And in the season, of course, we get an hour and a half to 2 hours most days. But really, I'm a believer in short practices. What we try to do is fit a 2.5 hour practice into an hour and a half.
Yes.
Time frame. So
make a
we
move,
try to
right?
eliminate,
No standing
eliminate
around.
the standing around. You're exactly right. We want everybody to be moving as much as possible so that we can fit in every single rep that we want to get in, and we move at a fast pace through practice, and I think that makes the games a lot easier on us.
One thing I noticed about Dan Enos, the new coordinator at Alabama, when he has quarterback drills, it's not one, it's two dropping back, throwing to opposite sides of the field, or one's throwing a crossing route to a tight end, one's throwing a flag route to the wide receiver. But it doubles the reps right there.
That's right.
Stuff like that.
Any kind of little thing you can find to get an edge, to steal a rep here or there. I think that's what you got to do. I mean, we're going into spring practice with 5 quarterbacks, and if we just had one of those guys throwing and 4 of them watching, that's not a very efficient practice. So, we're always going to have 2 to 3 of those guys going at a minimum, and some drills will have all 5 of them firing away at one time, and I think that's really the trick to keep players involved in the program, because in most places across the country, football is kind of under attack almost for several different reasons, and I think part of keeping your numbers up and keeping people interested and keeping wanting to play is just making sure they get the action out there during practice time. They're not just standing around. So that's one way that we try to just continue to grow the game in this part of the state.
All right, tell me what you've got this year. In all honesty, good team,
yeah.
Rebuilding team. Team that could contend again. What do you got?
Well, we've after last year, I've kind of learned to never try to predict. As far as what the final record may be, we started off really slow last year, then got hot at the right time. But we have more returning starters this year than we did going into last year. We got a good nucleus back for the 5 offensive linemen. Got a really good running back in Nasir Boyd, a good receiver in Trey Ross. We have some good defensive linemen, outside linebackers back, Calvin Crummy, and Miller Park back at safety. So we've got a lot of guys that have been in the fire. With that being said, too, we have a lot of guys that are going to be out there for the first time on a Friday. Last year we had a lot of close games, and so we didn't really have the luxury of getting, a lot of the younger guys some really meaningful snaps on Friday nights like we would have liked to. But we obviously have a JV program, and we practice the way that we do with the idea that we want to develop our players as quickly as possible. And so there'll be some new faces out there, but I like the way our kids work. I think that's one of the trademarks of just this whole community is just the blue collar attitude and the toughness, hard nosed attitude that they bring. And we play a tough schedule, so we don't try to hide behind any easy wins on the schedule. We always play up in 7A, out of region. This year we've got Spain Park on the schedule, and Tuscaloosa County is always a big rival. Bob Jones, James Clemens. So, we've got our work cut out for us for sure, but I know our kids will be up for it.
Yeah, I saw that. At least the Spain Park is the first game, so you've got some time to prepare. That's kind of fortuitous. But you're right, Bob Jones. You kind of loaded it up. What was the thinking? James Clemens. Well, I know those guys are in your region too, but
yeah, well, that's what that's our philosophy. We want to play the toughest we can play out of region every year. We don't have any control over what our region is. Our region plays pretty tough as well. McAdory being a perennial power, and Bessemer City's had some good years, and Northridge has had some tough teams through the years. But out of region, we want to play the biggest and the baddest we can get, because you're going to have to play those kinds of teams at some point if you're going to make a run in the playoffs. And my goal going in this thing was not to see how good my regular season record could be. My goal was to try to get a team here to win a state championship, and then that's the best way to prepare them for it. And I think through the history of the last 4 years that I've been here, that's paid dividends for us.
Yeah, and a lot of schools don't do that, as you know. A lot of schools do it, but a lot of them don't. They get that shiny record and they get through the region, or if the region's a little tough, they don't do it. But the bottom line is you just got to come in second or better in the region. You can be 3-8, but be real good and tough. You know, not that you would ever do that, but you know what I'm saying there. And people lose sight of that.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, in the big picture, that's what teams are going to be remembered for. You know, and the kids that we have, I want them to come out of their years at Hillcrest having the best experience they could possibly have as a high school athlete. And to me, the way to do that is to make those deep playoff runs and practice on Thanksgiving, play into December, and we've been lucky enough to do those things. We've had some great players come through here. But to me, that's how you make the memories for the kids, and that's what will stick with them. Just the ability to go against the best competition you can go against and just see how you stack up.
Finally, get any college prospects out there, D1s or Sanford level, North Alabama, who's going to D1, obviously, or anybody like that, or what do you got?
Yeah, we've got two pretty big prospects. One's getting a little work on the field right now. I have a punter, Jay Bramlett, who's been on visits to SEC schools, Big Ten schools, and he's as good as there is in the country. You know, recruiting at the punter position is a little bit unique. Not everybody takes one every year, but Jay's a good athlete as well, not just a specialist. He's got a chance to be our starting quarterback as well, and is a big-time player on the baseball team. And we have a receiver / tight end, Trey Ross, who's been gathering a lot of interest from the mid-major type teams. Troy, Middle Tennessee, Southern Miss was in here today. And we'll have some others that'll come along in the younger classes as well. One thing's sure, this school gets recruited. We have some colleges come in here this time of the year pretty much every day, and they know if they get a player out of here, he's going to be well prepared, and he's going to have already been asked to do a lot of things that college level players do. So, we're looking forward to seeing these guys grow throughout the year.